So now I'm going to start building the support shell, and I have some clay that I pounded. Build a barrier across the skull with clay covering one half, and then we're going to build up the harder shell on the outside, coming up to the top, then making a flange, then coming down and making a flange. So now on the other side, I'm going to put a few more supports. It's a pretty thick wall, so it's not going to come up too much, but keep it from shifting while we're working on it. Stick that on there so we don't lose it. We're ready to start putting some resin on this half. Then we'll pull this off and do resin up to the other half. Let's just make it easy on ourselves. Put some more adhesive release on it. Not going to stick to the clay, but you don't want the clay to stick into the plastic as much. So. Sorry about that. So now that we've done the first half of the support shell and we remove the clay, you'll see what we have left exposed is the silicone mold, half of the plastic support shell, and then the wooden base. We're going to build our second half support shell on top of this, and you want to remember in this case you want to release everything with Vaseline, because under no circumstances do you want the support shells sticking to each other or sticking to the base. And then it's just the same as the first half. So now I've finished the support shell on both sides. Then what I did is I fastened it to the base with two 1-inch drywall screws, so that when I drill holes for the bolts to hold it together, that it won't shift in relationship to the mold or the board or anything. So I drilled those in, and then I screwed those in, and then I took a 1/4-inch drill bit, drilled a hole, and for each of these it's just a 1/4-inch bolt and a 1/4-inch wing nut. You can see how they go right here. You can just tighten and loosen it by hand, or you can use a cordless to do it faster. And then you can see here on the bottom, because when we cast it, it'll go like this. What we're going to do now is we're going to drill out a 7/8 inch hole in the bottom where we'll pour our foam through. So here you can see our mold. You can trim all this flesh off with a knife or a file. I've already pre-split this. You can see how our notches came out. Wherever you see the plastic's too thin on the support shell, you can always go back and fix later, and you can do it as separate halves. You don't have to have it together. Careful using a knife to split it. This is bad technique on my part. You don't want to stab a hole through your mold. But I'm trying to keep the blade away from the silicone. And you're going to get some mechanical binding from the mold being in there, but just pull and come off. So there you have one half. And two halves. Here's our mold. And there's you'll see there's a little creep. See, like I talked about the glue, over here it's creeped all the way up to the glue. You want to trim that back. Now, I'm going to show you how to take the mold off, and this is the same for taking off your casting. All the details on the face, so we want to stay away from there. That's also the thinnest parts. So we're going to just take it like that. Get your fingers in there, loosen it up. This first time because it's been on here for a week now. So I'm holding it against my chest and then just not rolling it up, but just kind of bunching it and grabbing it. So you can see it's coming backwards, and as we get to the face where there's more cutouts, you want to be more careful just to make sure you don't tear anything. It might be a fine detail. So now you can see everything's released except for the eye sockets, and that's always going to be the hardest part. But that's why we also made those extra strong. So just grab those. Maybe grab the mold from the other side. Pull those out. There goes the nose. And then the eye socket. So there's our skull we started with. Here's what our inside skull looks like. And just flip it inside out. Now I have the outer shell, because we put these keys in the bottom. You can see the round keys here and 2 square keys are up there, so we can keep helps keep us aligned to the mold. The mold is almost a mold in plastic of the silicone rubber part. Once we have this all lined up, we'll be able to put the other half on pretty easily. You might have to push in the mold to make it easier to get the outer shell on. Then we'll just pop it back out. And when this is when you have this bolted together, it's not going to shift around like it is on me. You know, just push out the mold from the inside. So you want to do this with all your bolts through here. Put this in. Then you reattach it to the board like this. Now we're going to drill out this hole in the middle so that we can pour stuff inside of here. So I'll do that right now. So here I have 7/8 paddle bit. And because I've already drilled in this board, I have a pretty good idea of where the middle is. There's 2 in the middle from where I tried mounting the skull with screws, which was somewhat unsuccessful. If you want, you can measure across the board, but I'm just going to eyeball it because it doesn't have to be perfect. So now we're going to make our first casting from the mold. See, I just have it set in a box like this. Yeah, just hold it up, keep it flat. And I have foam at 5, which is 5 pound. It's the second lightest foam. So, in case you don't know, the more air you take into your foam, the more air you get out of your foam. I have 2, these are 5 1/4, but I'm only going to fill them up to about 4 ounces. Equal in the skull. Again, I have a D cup on the side of the B and the A on this side of the A. And that is solid. Alright, now that I got the A open, cup gonna run out. So just want to whip this together until you get a consistent creamy color without any swirls of dark in it. And you'll know it's getting ready to go. You'll feel it coming through the cup. It's going to start getting warm. It's going to happen fast, so you might be ready to pour this as soon as you get it mixed. Temperature and humidity are going to change how fast this happens. You can see it's creamy like the top of a root beer flake. Just pour it through here. If you want to watch the progress of the foam, you can watch what's left of the cup to see how it pops. Stuff away. I'm going to keep my gloves on. It's the first time making a mold in this mold. You don't know if you have enough or too much foam. You're going to have to do something about it. Here it comes. It looks like it measured pretty good. Usually it's going to pop super fast. If it's too much, it's just going to come pouring out.